am taking a look at In My Time of Dying from Led Zeppelin today. And this is actually a revisit for me because I did a tutorial for it probably a couple of years ago, focusing more or less on how it is played live. Now there's some significant differences between the two, and one of them, and the most important thing, is the tuning, okay? Live they would play it in open G, which is what I did in the previous lesson. But in the studio, the physical graffiti version is definitely in open A. So the very first thing we want to do is get into an open A tuning. So it's pretty easy to do. Leave the 6th string and the 5th string tuned normally, E and A. And then the D string comes up a whole step to E. And then the G string comes up a whole step to A. And then the B string comes up a half step to C sharp. And then the E string, the first string, stays at normal pitch, okay? So we have E, A, C sharp, E. Now the next important thing to talk about is the tone, okay? So a bit of word dribble here, but it's really important if you want to get this thing right and get the tone and everything. So I've got a healthy dose of distortion. I'm on the bridge pickup on my telly. I'm going to have the volume wide open. But what's important to get that kind of dark, mid-rangey, spooky kind of tone that he has, I turn the tone knob completely off, okay? So instead of the guitar sounding like this, it sounds like this. And that will really give you that tone. That's what we're looking for, okay? So there's the tuning and the tone, a little tip on how to get that tone. So let's get into it. As you can see on the tab, I've got it tabbed out to where you're playing this across the B, the G, and the D strings. But that's not exclusive and it's not all the time. Jimmy tends to favor the G and the D string. But the B string is definitely in there on some of these passages, and that's something that sometimes gets missed. But you can definitely hear it, especially when he comes off of that 3rd fret. The B string really comes through. Okay, so let the tab be your guide, be your blueprint, okay? But I will point out a couple of things that won't be on the tab, but that you want to wrap your head around, okay? So let's just get started. I'll play it nice and slow with the tab up on the screen. Not too difficult to play if you've played slide before, of course. But anyway, I've got the slide on my ring finger the same as the way Jimmy plays it because there's a couple of areas, just 3 little sections where he's actually fretting it, okay? He's not using the slide. So keeping the slide on your ring finger is best for this particular song. So that's the first riff. Let's get into the next one, and I'll point out a couple of things about this. Now, as you can see from the tab, we're still working with the B, the G, and the D strings. But for this part, the first 3 bits, Jimmy actually frets that, and I think he plays it like this, using his pinky, but either way is fine. However, you can include that A string in there because he sometimes did that live. It makes the sound a little bit thicker. Right? And then you can see on the tab I have... Now that relates to the live version, but in the studio, you hear a lower octave with that. And it sounds like he's got the guitars layered a little bit, so it may be a second guitar doing it, but you definitely hear this. You hear that lower octave in there as well on that A string. So the way I do that is I just hybrid pick. I'm picking the A string with my pick, and I'm picking the G string with the 2nd finger of my right paw. But the frets are the same regardless. And then you can see the second time around, he just plays the G string by itself, okay? And you can see that on the tab, that last slide is really slow and cool sounding. So we come back for a third time and we bring in those octaves again. So that whole section is played like so. And then we start the next riff. You can see that one on the tab as well. And again, I'm favoring for this part the G and the D strings, okay? You can bring in that B string a little bit, but I think for the most part, Jimmy's just staying with those. So let me play that nice and slow for you. As you can see, he jumps up to the 12th fret every once in a while. I don't think it's a perfectly worked out thing, but I'll play it the way it is on the recording the first time around. That he plays at the end looks just like an A minor 7th in standard tuning, okay? First fret on the B string and then second fret on the D string, and just pick it from the A string down. And then we're right back to the main riff, and Robert Plant comes in with the vocal. Hear that one bit where he pauses on the 3rd fret like that. It's really cool. You can spot check that on the recording if you want to. And of course, you're going to repeat all of that, and then we move into the next section. And this part is played almost exclusively with your fingers. And some people doubt that, I think, but if you watch him at the Earl's Court concert in '75, for instance, there's enough camera angles where you can see what he's doing. He's clearly playing this stuff with his fingers as opposed to the slide, okay? So you can see the tab up on the screen, but basically it's played like this, and I'll slow it down as well. Pretty cool part indeed, okay? I think Jimmy actually uses his pinky on that, which I'll show you when I slow it down a little bit, but I like to just use my second finger. Anyway, you can see the tab up on the screen, but the chord is like so. And you'll probably want to do that with a downstroke and an upstroke. And then on that 3rd downstroke, move your pinky to the 7th fret. And this part is definitely played with his fingers. Again, check it out live and you can see what he's doing. I think he uses his pinky, like I said, to hit the 5th fret, but it's... So either way is fine. And once in a while in live performance, you'll see him throw in that in between, and then other times it's actually the 3rd fret on the 6th string. He'll give it a little shake, a little blues shake, right? You know, whatever you want to do is totally cool on that part. And they repeat that, and then you'll hear that bit where he drops this chord down a whole step. And so on and so forth. And then he blasts his way into an extended slide solo. Total improvisation on his part. He's got 2 extended solos in the song. He never played the same thing twice, okay? Live performances, whatever, just improvise and have fun with it, okay? So we roll through that whole midsection again, and Jimmy plays another extensive slide guitar solo. And then at the end of that second solo, we hear this. Improvisation, but that's a pretty killer riff. We're on the D, the G, and the B strings again, and slowing it down, it is like so. You do that 4 times, and then he plays this. And sometimes he would play that with the slide, and sometimes he would just play it with his fingers. It depends on the performance, as always with him, that you're watching. So either or is fine on that one if you'd like. The slide does give it a little bit of grease, a little bit different tone, if you will. Just keep it loose, and like I always say, have fun with it. And then we return to this riff. And then Robert Plant starts the a cappella vocal bit, Oh My Jesus, and then we hear this riff. So you can see that on the tab again. Just use the tab as a basic blueprint, but I'll play that slowly anyway. Quite a awesome drum fill from John Bonham, and we go right back to this riff. Quite a while, but that is the chord that they end on, the A minor 7th shape again. So there you go with In My Time of Dying from the mighty Led Zeppelin studio version in open A.